Hi Ash, how are you doing? Knitting spider time, hell yeah. Hi Scarlett and Yuki as well, and Alex. Hope everybody's having a good day. I keep forgetting to update my kitchen for this preset. I gotta remember to do that. You finished the Emperor? That's amazing. Yes, do the one that you want to do, absolutely. Hi Zephyr, hi Frazzle. You're at work, but you want to see crochet? Well, hopefully we can help you be productive, right? Oh, not ribbing hell. I really am not, like, a fan of ribbing. I really hate ribbing. A lot of the times I don't even like how it looks, but sometimes it's necessary. You made a friend? I'm so happy to hear that, Alex. That's amazing. It makes school so much better when you have somebody to commiserate with. Ad break is going to start in about 1 minute. I'm going to go get a drink really quick, and I'll be right back, and then we can get started. Oh, the pizza ad. God, I miss pizza. I cannot wait to eat pizza again. I made muffins today, though. I discovered that the Martha White muffin mix, the really, like, cheap little blueberry muffin one, is, it's low-fat enough I can have it. I'm so happy to be eating muffins. You're back on spreadsheets again, Tabby. Will they ever end? Raven, happy that you could make it. Working on a Christmas present blanket. Seems like the time for that. And Zephyr's working on a Christmas gnome. I'm a bit behind on Christmas knits. Yeah, that seems like something that you would be saying in, not you, but in general. Everyone is probably saying right now. Alright. People keep buying things, so there are always spreadsheets. Yep, it do be like that. Working on polymer knitting stones, that's okay. There's no requirements for anything that you have to work on. People come in here and they wash their dishes and fold their laundry. Alright, Zephyr's got a goal to meet word count. Put that in for you. Oh yeah, I don't care what you're doing in here. You can sit there and stare at the screen the whole time if you wanted to. I don't think that'd be very interesting for you, but... Alright. And then Tabby is gonna finish a spreadsheet. We're at it. Okay, we got a couple here. Alright. Start and finish a worry stone for Yuki. Would love to see that when you're done. You're trying a new word count website to keep track. Oh! Pfft. I'm a dummy. Thank you, Ash. Yes, it does very clearly say that, doesn't it? I'm just so used to doing the, redeem for, adding to the checklist. Do you have a preference on color? Got blue, pink, purple, this green one, black and red, rainbow, pumpkin. Blue is fine. I got plenty of money, I don't mind buying one if you... Oh, he can't sip anything. There we go. We'll get the knitting out, because then he feels like he belongs. He's at least, he's staring at a knitting needle. You like blue? Perfect. Yeah, excited for the update, for sure. Excited to be able to play with the spirits. That's so cute. Yeah, telepathic knitting. He knows his fate. Oh god. Hi, Nickel! Thanks for coming in. Glad you could catch the stream. I know, remembering is always the hardest part, isn't it? take a bite of muffin first. They're not the most beautiful muffins ever, but they get the job done. Yeah. Mm-hmm. My favorite is mini muffins, but these are small enough. Close enough to being mini. Do you know? It's not in the muffin, don't worry. Oh, you're asking Ash. I'm like, what, me? Yeah, Ash kept losing their floss last time, that's right. Wait, what, Alex? Oh my god, you scared me. Your teacher posted an assignment saying you were going to learn how to draw using AI, and it took you a minute to realize he meant Adobe Illustrator. Yeah, I probably would have done the same thing. Zephyr, I think that there's like actually some science to the fact that people with ADHD tend to procrastinate, obviously, but then also work better when they procrastinate. Like it helps with the focus, so I don't know. Do you need to learn from that necessarily? Yes, hopefully Ash also is not losing floss in muffins. No, seeing the abbreviation would have made my heart drop into my stomach, absolutely. You're not diagnosed, but do you suspect that you said you were, right? So, I mean, whatever about diagnosis, right? Especially because, you know, having... are you diagnosed autistic? Because I know for a long time there they wouldn't do both. If you had one of the diagnoses, they wouldn't give you the other one. So, and now they acknowledge that, you know, you can be both. So, it's just such a grab bag of like whether or not doctors will acknowledge what's going on. They didn't even want you to do the autism one. Why not? Yeah, these days they will. I know a lot of people who were diagnosed as children, they don't have both, even though these days, like, if they had been diagnosed, like, today, they would have gotten both. But as a child, they couldn't get both because they wouldn't do that back then. Too smart to be autistic. What happened to the autistic savant stereotype? You sent pics of your floss retention strat? Let's see what you got going. Oh. You know, if that was a banana, you could charge millions of dollars for that. One of your teachers called them and said she suspected and they said no. Yeah, that's so stupid. It doesn't help you at all to just brush that stuff under the rug. But yeah, I know plenty of people who've been screwed over by their parents like that, or who actually did get the diagnosis as a child and their parent just decided not to ever tell them. So they had to like go on their own journey of self-discovery and like get diagnosed as an adult and all of this stuff, and then later on went and talked to their parent about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we know." Yeah, they're literally comorbidities. We know this now, but I guess we didn't have confirmation of that, you know, back in the day. I mean, we forget that, like, I don't think that we forget, but a lot of people forget that, you know, we haven't known about autism for that long. Yeah, that's like going, you can't be allergic to peanuts, you're allergic to cats. There are some disorders that have similar characteristics, and I think that's often kind of the logic for not diagnosing people with multiple different things, because they're looking at like what is most likely to be like the root of all of these different issues, right? So rather than saying that you have all of these different things, they're like, okay, well, this one thing can be responsible for all of the things that you're talking about. So they, you know, with diagnosis, they generally prefer to find like the main offender in terms of like, you know, whatever is happening with your brain. And so apparently like fetal alcohol syndrome can have similar symptoms to autism. So I guess for things like autism and ADHD, or, you know, other disorders, OCD, things like that, because of there is so much overlap, you know, the prevailing thought used to be that we need to see which one of these things is at the core of the issue. And so the fact that there was overlap, instead of being seen as like, ah, yes, these things are often related, it was more of a thing of like, it's got to be more one than the other, if that makes sense. So, but we've you know, we've done more research. We are less inclined to assume that things are just behavioral issues, you know, which helps. Your child is just bad. Every day you're trying to figure out how everyone in your life missed the tism growing up. I think a lot of people just don't know like what it is or what it actually means. Like the movie Rain Man, for example, is a touch point for a lot of people when they think about autism. And the person that movie is based off of is not even autistic. He's got a different thing going on. I don't remember what it is, but like it's so like this idea about autism that is like most well known is not even a representation of autism. So, you know, I didn't know what it was until I started doing research for my own benefit. Yeah. Yeah, if you are assigned female at birth, it's likely that you will be, you know, not given the same level of attention that if you were assigned male at birth. Yeah. used to stim in public and your father would hold your hands down and yell at you for being embarrassing and making fun of autistic people. That's so stupid. Like, this idea of like, you can't do that. You're gonna take up all the stimming from the people who really need it. Like, this has nothing to do with anybody else. And also, in case anybody was wondering, no, you don't need to be autistic to stim. Everybody stims. It's a normal thing to do. Just autistic people and ADHD people tend to do it a lot more. A lot of things when it comes to autism and ADHD are not about unique behaviors. It's just about a higher prevalence of those behaviors. Even if you were autistic, you weren't as bad as those people, and they weren't like, yeah, a lot of stigma, you know. People forget that there used to be literal ugly laws where you weren't allowed out in public if you were too disabled. And so I think a lot of people cling to this idea that they need to hide disability because they don't want to invite that level of scrutiny and discrimination, but it's actually not helpful. Hi, Golgi, how are you doing? Good but tired? Well, hopefully you can have some time to relax now. Yeah, stigma, the thing about stigma is that, it's one of those things that is often helped, like it's easier to overcome if you talk about it and you normalize it. So hiding it and you know, trying to sweep it under the rug doesn't help make it better, right? So people who want to protect you, but they just lean into that stigma, they're not protecting you that way. Maybe in the short term, but not in the long term. Not as bad as Ligma, though. You're right about that. Y'all aren't gonna believe what I just lost. Oh my god. I didn't say it, Zephyr. The question though, Ash, is how? Yeah, no, exactly, Tabby. Minority is terrible, but not you. You're the exception. Or you could just look at me as an example that, like, wow, you're actually wrong to think about this group of people this way. Like, maybe I'm not the exception. Maybe all people are this cool. You're just not giving anyone a chance to show you that because you're being a judgmental asshole. Oh, it was the ring that held the full skins. Yeah. I'm expecting to see that nailed up on the wall next to the single hairs that you've taped up there next. Yeah, command hooks. Yeah, it's a good thought for sure. Or you could be like that person who's taping all of their hair to the wall of the shower, except with your floss. It's wild. If you haven't seen that, every time they lose hair in the shower, they have like a tape strip on the wall of their shower, and they just tape these individual strands of hair to the tape strip, and they just keep adding and adding it. They have like a ponytail's worth of like, yeah, they have half a wig. Yeah. They like take care of it. No, for real, Nicole. I think it being wet makes it so much worse, too. Like, everything is worse when it's wet. Ugh. I hate wet things touching me, especially my own hair. The ancient Egyptians were right to shave themselves all over. See, I hate shaving, though. I hate how it feels as soon as it starts to grow back. Ugh. Good time zone, everyone. Hi, Puzzled. How are you doing today? Final picture of your updated strategy. Okay, let's see. It's a beautiful installation. You know, I think you're definitely onto something there. The single strands with the tape is just, it's still getting me. Oh, wasn't a great day, but it's over soon. Yeah, you gotta shake it off and move on, right? Your mom stole a dog? What do you mean? Oh, well, at least it's someone she knows. She's just borrowing it, right? Zephyr, do you need me to set a Pomodoro timer for you? I'm gonna banish you. I'll time you out if I have to. 5-minute timeout, you have to work on your thing. Little tiny baby. Okay, so easy to scoop. You just get distracted? I know, hence the Pomodoro timer. Y'all, I might try to actually knuckle down and go for 2 rows today. We'll see what happens. We'll see how we do on time, but I would kind of like to do that. It'll sacrifice our Stardew time, but I think it's worth it. Welcome in, B8. How are you doing? Oh, dialogue? I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like even if you do this on like a scrap piece of paper, it helps me to just write out the gist of what I'm saying. I've been doing a lot with like writing out my voiceovers for the content I'm making. I'll go through and I'll do like the broad strokes of like, okay, I know I want to mention this, this, and this, and then I'll go through and be like, okay, well I can fill in kind of what I want to say about this, and then that kind of is helping me flow into like the next thing a little bit, and then like maybe I'll go back into the beginning and I'll kind of outline that a little bit more. And then by the time I've gotten there, I've like warmed up enough that I can kind of just like write it out again better. Finish that explanation in the nick of fucking time as the ad break starts. Weird ad, but you only got one? What kind of weird ad? People who make ads are so strange. I'm like, is the strategy to get us to talk about this thing? Because I don't know. I don't know if that's really what I would go for. Does anyone have advice for fingertips going tingly mid crochet? Yeah, compression gloves might help, because that sounds like an issue of like circulation or like pinching a nerve or something while you're crocheting. I would definitely start there. And maybe do some stretches for sure. Maybe... Are you using an ergonomic handle for your hook? Okay, I see where you're going, Zephyr. And also, Zephyr, I'm giving you advice knowing full well I hate that shit, so I'm just throwing spaghetti. Feel free to dodge out of the way. You don't need to take my advice. Yeah, silkworm costume, whatever works. I should really get some compression gloves for myself. Maybe I'll do that. I have a, there's like a craft sale thing that's going on at my local craft store this weekend. And I have some coupons, so that would be a good time to get some compression gloves if they have them. They probably do. Oh, the lesbians are lesbianing. You're getting to the good stuff, Zephyr. Yeah, no, I feel that too. Like, it's like, I just wrote a whole bunch. Why can't I write more? It's like, well, because you just spent a bunch of energy on writing. Yeah, here comes the big lesbian. Uh-huh. Summoned by the magic word. If only you had that power full time. Have you tried? Maybe you just need to walk out in public and start shouting, lesbian, and see what happens. Can you get the magic word? It's lesbian. Yeah, you could be surprised sometimes, Scarlet, what can have an impact on different parts of your body. Like, I had cubital tunnel when I was in school. So carpal tunnel is on this side, cubital tunnel is on this side. And the cubital tunnel would affect these two fingers. So a lot of the times with carpal tunnel, it's these three fingers. Cubital tunnel is these two fingers. So I would have numbness in these two fingers related to my wrist, right? But then it would get to the point where I was numb all the way down the underside of my arm up to my elbow when it was at its worst. And then I've also different thing, but I experience a lot of like back pain issues because I'm, you know, crouched, hunched over my desk all the time like a little goblin, and doing lateral pull downs, like a pull down bar at the gym, really helped with that pain, because when I'm always like this, you know, and I'm doing things down here, you want to diversify your movement, because, you know, your muscle systems are, to really simplify it, it's kind of like for every movement you make, you have one muscle group that helps you go down, and then you have a different muscle group that helps you go up, right? So, you know, like a pulley system, you know, one pulley is is down, and then the other pulley, like, you know, down and up kind of a movement. So you want to make sure that you're working both muscle groups. So if you're doing the same kind of movements all the time, you want to make sure that you're finding time to do the counterbalance to those movements to help, like, keep those muscles and joints and everything healthy. Hi Mumbo, how are you? I'm so happy to hear your Wi-Fi is back. Yeah, I'm sure there was also some other stuff going on, Ash. It was just like the tinglies. Cause I know that I would get like tennis elbow as well. But yeah, it felt so weird. You had your first class yesterday and it went well? That's amazing. I'm glad you're off to a solid start. Autocorrect is so random, Zephyr. It's gotten worse and worse, I swear. Like, it won't fix things that are obviously wrong, like when I type the, T-H-E, with a 3 in it instead of an E, right? It doesn't fix that, but then I have to fight it if I want to type out normal ass words, because it just wants to autocorrect it to something completely different. Like autocorrect will be like, there's no way you meant to type hither. No one says hither. You must have meant Hilton. It's just the first thing that came to mind. How often do I use that word? I don't know. It's possible I do. Yeah, your anatomy class coming in handy, puzzled. Isn't that so satisfying, though, when you get to pull out the niche information? Why did it add an accent to implementation just because you're studying French? It bugs me so much, too, when it won't recognize, like, normal-ass everyday words that are in the dictionary. I'm not gonna do that. Oh, autocorrect butchering your name? Yeah, super annoying. It's like, yeah, I know I can just add it to my personal dictionary, but still. Uh-huh, no, I know what you're talking about, Zephyr. On today's episode of Ash Can't Count, oh my god. The other night, I was working on getting the pattern together for the hood, and I was mystified. I kept doing the same thing over and over and over again, and I was like, why is this not working? And I finally determined, you know what? This is a sign that I need to stop working on this. And I put it down, and I came back the next day, and sure enough, I figured it out very quickly. The hood is so cute. Thank you. I'm excited to get it tested and get it out there. Good evening, Pudding. How are you doing? Yeah, I've been wanting to do a hood like that for quite a while, so... Yes, the factory reset button, precisely. Oh, perfect timing because you needed a hood. Excellent. Yeah, I'm always wanting, like... I don't really like a scarf. Because I feel like it's too much stuff bunched up around my neck, but then at the same time I do want something around my neck, so that's half of the appeal for the hood for me, is just the fact that it has the neck piece that's not going to be like super bulky but still keep you warm. I gave you an excuse to buy yarn you've been eyeing for a month. The way I have been misbehaving so bad, because every time I've gone to my local yarn store over the past week or so, I've picked up another like new thing of yarn to try. And in my defense, I do have a purpose, and I am using it all immediately, so it's like not that bad. But I was just trying to test out the hood with as many different bulky weight yarns as possible, to make sure that I could just specify like it needs to be bulky weight and not be like it needs to be specifically this yarn, and that it would still work okay. So there was purpose to it, and you know, I'm using everything that I've bought right away, and I'm gonna sell it. So, but yeah, I've been just like going for it. Skull muffins incoming. Ooh, that's so fun. You need something over your head, but anything too close to your throat is a nope. Yeah, this hood does have a cowl component to it, but it's a button closure, so hopefully it's less restrictive feeling. You've been contemplating making a tank and short set with like teddy bear yarn? Oh, that's cute. I have heard teddy bear yarn as in like plush yarn, because I have heard that it can be really bad about shedding all over you if you sweat. You were tidying your room and stuff. Oh, okay, I see. I saw that you had discovered 20 skeins of yarn out of nowhere. I didn't realize that you've been trying to stash bust. That does lend some context. Yeah, if it feels too constrictive as well, it would be very easy for you to add more room to the cowl part, because you can add as many chains as you want to in theory. I'm gonna add a note. I'm just writing one size, but then I'm planning to write thorough notes about like how you would make adjustments if you want to adjust literally any part of it. So if you wanted to add more chains to the part that goes around your neck to give yourself more room, you can easily do that. Like, you won't have to do anything crazy to make that happen. It's pretty much built into the pattern. Hi, Akita. Enjoy your lurk. Oh, you're crocheting Hornet's cloak? That's so cool, Pudding. I bet that's gonna be really fun and satisfying. I'm sorry you're not feeling well, though. You want to make an Epic the Musical blanket? How would you go about doing that? What's your concept? I was, watching one of my friends play Valheim yesterday, and it just made me remember how much I enjoy Valheim, and I want to get back into it at some point. Which naturally made my brain go, haha, wouldn't it be fun to crochet my, personal Valheim map? Which, if you don't know, Valheim has a RNG based map generation, so every map is unique. But they're also enormous. They're like an entire world. And, fortunately, saving me from myself, they're not really very pretty. So I don't think that I would be that tempted, but that would certainly be one way to make this project look like a small undertaking. Oh yeah, Alex is pretty new to crochet, so tapestry is maybe a little bit yeah, it's color work like I'm doing, but this is very advanced tapestry. So for a beginner, I would recommend, one or two colors to start out. But you would use single crochet to do your tapestry. I mean, you can use other stitches too, but... Convenient example, yes. Yeah, two color is not bad at all. You can do a lot with two colors, image wise. You return with a sandwich. That sounds yummy. You get bored with all of your projects if there's no due date. You need the pressure. Yeah, Ash is good with making charts. Small Mittens, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, everyone. Happy to have you. My name is Jack. I'm a fiber artist specializing in crochet, and I'm currently working on crocheting the Stardew Valley world map pixel for pixel. I hope you had a good stream. What were you working on? Thank you. Yes, thank you for giving the shout out. I appreciate that. You were building a water park in Water Park Sim? I love that. That game is so funny. Yeah, I'm sure most people's introduction to that game was from Queso playing it, and if you have not seen clips of him playing Water Park Simulator, definitely look that up. His community interacting with him about it too is so funny, because it's like they're making all sorts of... It's like an ARG, basically, at this point, his specific water park. I am using a 1.3 millimeter hook, so pretty little. And this is embroidery floss. Yeah, bordering on micro crochet, yeah. Not quite there, but pretty close. You've never seen his streams before? Yeah, even if you just go on TikTok or something, you can find little clips. It's so funny. I have been working on this project for about 32 weeks at this point, so just about 7 months. And I am over halfway done. So we're getting there. Yeah, the girl who's crocheting a life-size queso, yeah. It's so cute. Giant micro crochet, indeed. I love how enthusiastic he is about everything. It's really sweet, because she sent she's made smaller versions of that big plush and sent them to Queso, and he is very appreciative of them, and his mom really likes them and stuff. It's very cute. Watching this project evolve over months has helped you make peace with the time art and creating really takes. Yeah. No, it is absolutely okay to go slow. For sure. You know, who are you rushing for, right? If somebody's gonna rush you, they better be paying you for that. Yeah, get ready for badmintons. Thank you again for the raid. You go take care of yourself. Oh yeah, Mambo? You're fast as fuck? You just think you're better than everyone, huh? It's so funny. I know that's not what you meant. I know you're joking. It's so funny too, the way that like, I feel like, and a lot of it I think has to do with just sort of like content and the fact that generally when we look at clips of crochet, they're sped up because it's a very slow process. So we get this idea that like if you are faster at making a stitch, you are better at crochet. Which there's probably, you know, there's some truth to that. Like, you're probably a more experienced crocheter if you're able to go faster. But, I also think that when you go really fast, you sort of open yourself up to making more mistakes. So, could I go faster than I do? Probably. Do I want to? Absolutely not. But coming from the fine arts arena, it's just really funny that people have that mentality about crochet because, you know, I've had my work criticized before for being made too quickly. And in this particular instance, I don't think that that was a valid criticism. But still, that's, you know, there's a completely different school of thought around how art should be made, you know, between these different disciplines. And an ad break is starting. Zephyr, you said that, and initially I was like, wait, the first time we joined stream, there was a huge argument and fight, and I was like, in here? Are you sure you're remembering correctly? And then I read the rest of your message. That's so funny, though. And so real, the urge to snoop on the big fight. Concluding what I was saying before the ad break started, though, it's funny how there are these different schools of thought, you know, between these different artistic disciplines about sort of what makes art good, quote unquote good, or like more legitimate, you know, and how time plays a part in that, but so differently. And it's all relative, right? Like I have goals for how long I want to take on this project, but that's got nothing to do with like, you know, any ideas about what my timeline should be. You know, part of that is just that being very consistent with my content is to my benefit. And then part of that is about how I need variety in my life, or I will lose it. So I need this project to end eventually. So that I could do something else, because the novelty can only last so long. And I think the fact that I've done this well with it for this long is like really awesome. I feel like I've been finding ways to keep it interesting for myself, which is good. But going on multiple years is not for me. one of the wildest things that happened in the beginning was a talk on girth indeed, which, you know, you're making that sound like something that it wasn't. I'm just saying. It was about the word girth. Taping my hook like a tattoo artist. Yeah, this is what I'm doing because, I mean, it's just a little skinny metal one, so, you know, this, but even smaller. So, initially it wasn't bothering my hand, but it did get to a point where I was kind of starting to feel it here. And, a lot of the ergonomic hook, like, you know, the thingies. You know, the thingies that you put on there. You know what I mean, right? The thingies. Sorry, we were talking about girth, so. With this, my moth cocoon. You want me to hold that up for a screenshot? I did a layer of duct tape under there, and then I wrapped the rest of it in, you know, the medical tape or whatever it is. But yeah, the silicone grips that people make, they don't tend to make them small enough for this hook. So I'll have to, but I could probably just wrap the handle in something and then stick it in, you know. What are you talking about, Scarlett? Yeah. See, exactly. A girthy hook holder. Purely an innocent use of the word, right? You went to school in hopes to join the animation pipeline, so everything was like now, fast, finish, next. And that was the worst thing for you as an artist? Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that for sure, Nickel. It did not jive well with me. I got in trouble quite often for not doing enough, like, brainstorming on paper, like not making enough thumbnails and sketches and things like that, because I need time to just think about things. I do a lot of processing in my head, and I think like the story I was telling earlier about trying to get the stitch count on the hood to work, right? And I just needed to put it down and walk away from it and just let it process in the background for a little bit, right? Continuing to try over and over and over again to get it to work right was not helping me. And that's how I felt about sketching a lot too, was it was like, it's not gonna help me to continue to put this down on paper because I don't know what I'm trying to do yet, you know? I just need time to think about it more. And it felt like that wasn't an acceptable way for me to be in school, you know? And I think I can recognize now that, like, university was just, you know, not a very friendly experience for my neurotype. And, you know, I didn't know anything about that then. So, you know, I could have used a lot more accommodation than what was available to me. But, like, I don't know. I just felt like the openness of capstone, which is like the sort of like when you're writing your senior thesis except for art, so it's like you're putting together your senior show, kind of like your final statement is like about, you know, what conclusions you've come to as an artist, and like a body of work that you've like put together over your time in school. And I completely had to swerve during that and change directions because I didn't have the breathing room that I needed to make the work that I was trying to make. And that work is still in there, is the thing. It's not gone, which I'm appreciative of, but when it does come out, it's probably going to come out in a very different form, and I'm okay with that. I feel like I'm still working toward where I need to be to make it reality. But, you know, for all of the things that I let art school drag out of me and just absolutely crush, I'm glad that towards the end there, I allowed that instinct to protect myself to take over, because there were a lot of times that I did not protect myself and I did myself serious injury. Some of it physical, but not irreparable. But, you know, a lot of it mental and permanent, you know. And I just think that it's not fair that that's the way that university is put together, you know? Like, it takes, it misplaces the value and the importance of why you're there, right? It becomes a thing of, like, you are here for the university instead of, no, I'm here for me. I'm here for my own learning. I'm here so that I get something out of this. But it you know, the university finds it more important to determine whether or not they're going to sign off on you, whether they feel like they can get more money out of you in the long run. Yeah, your capstone project for your bachelor's almost killed you. Yeah, I relate to that. Like, the week that I was putting together, like, that final week before my show happened, when I was putting everything together, I got about, like, 3 hours of sleep through the whole week. Like, it was not sustainable. And that was the only time, back when I was still having a period, that I ever skipped a period. It was during that whole thing. I skipped it, and then when it did come, it was like the most unreal one that I have ever had. Like, I could tell that, like, I'd been saving it up, right? So my body was physically having a response to the strain that I was under. Yeah, schools, universities are for profit, and a lot of times, you know, their mindset is an academia mindset. So a lot of the values that they uphold and the skills that they are trying to teach you are only going to be relevant if you stay within an academic context. So that, you know, a lot of times means, I feel like, and I'm not necessarily commenting on things like maths and sciences and stuff like that, or like doctors, things like that, where the purpose of the degree is often a lot more, like, straightforward and practically applied. But in a lot of disciplines, the practical applications for a degree are so varied and diverse, it's really difficult to try and, like, pin them down with a rubric where it's like, if you do anything related to art, you need to know these things and only these things. Like, that's just not reality. There are too many different ways in which you can apply the arts to any discipline, and there are many different things that you can study to try and, you know, put that all into a little box. But, like, that is the, you know, priority of the university. That is like their purpose is to, you know, find ways to do that so they can create curriculum. And so a lot of, like, art disciplines, the way that those are thought about, it tends to be from a perspective of continuing education. So, like, you are going to get through your bachelor's so that you can do your master's, right? And then you're going to get through your master's so that you can be a professor. And that is such a tiny little niche of people to be holding everyone that goes through school to those expectations. And, you know, in my case, I also felt like commercial art was incredibly frowned upon, or, like, looked down on, unless you were in specifically a graphic design major. And, you know, not everybody is going to do that or wants to do that or can do that. The graphic design department at my school was extremely competitive, and it was difficult to get into those classes. unless you were part of that major, which obviously, you know, you can take a variety of other classes that aren't just your specific, you know, area of expertise. And I think it would have been very beneficial to me to have more of a focus in graphic design, but it wasn't like made available to me because I wasn't a graphic design major. And so, you know, I feel like a lot of things that I could have really benefited from learning weren't made available to me because the university didn't think that they were important because they weren't academic enough. You skipped like 6 months of periods during COVID lockdown because your body got confused that you weren't stressed. Yeah, those big changes can be they throw you for a loop. You got your degree in piano pedagogy and performance, and your capstone was an hour recital, and your body just couldn't do it. Yeah. The stage wasn't ADA accessible, so you had to do it with your cane as well. Yeah, it's like it just isn't right. It isn't right for things to be formatted like that, where everybody has to be capable of exactly the same things, or they don't count. Makes you nervous about being in the process of going back to school. Scarlett, I think the takeaway is that, like I said, when you're going to school, you should be doing it for you, and you should be focusing on the things that you know you can take with you. So, like, I wouldn't go back to school, but if I could reapproach school knowing what I know now, I would approach it completely differently, and I would be so much less concerned about grades and my professors telling me what to do. Like, not to say that the professors can't teach you anything, because obviously that's the whole reason that you're there, but, like, you know, I feel like I got so much of my sense of style stripped away from me, and I don't think... I mean, part of that, too, is, like, I was so young, right? Like, we're barely done being children when we go to university, so... you know, I have a lot more ability to stand up for myself now and know what's valuable to me as an adult. You know, adulthood is not like some distant promise at this point in my life. Like, no, I know what it's like, and I know what I'm going to want out of it, right? So I think that going in with that knowledge is really helpful. And, like, for me, at this point, I would definitely want to be focusing a lot on, like, taking advantage of access to tools, because one of the best things about university was just the studio space itself, like being in that environment where there were all of these different tools that I could put my hands on and learn how to directly use. Because even the small amount of time that I spent with them was enough for me to have confidence in later, like, putting on applications like, yes, I have diversity in my knowledge. I did welding for 6 months for school. Like, I know how to do lots of different niche things, and so I'm very trainable to, like, you know, I can specialize in whatever you want me to specialize. I've done all of these different things, right? I've worked with all of this different equipment before. I at least got started, which is a lot more than a lot of people are going to be able to say, right? So I think identifying what is valuable to you in that education and taking charge of making sure that you get it, like organizing your own curriculum and doing what is valuable to you, I think that's one way to approach it that could be helpful to you. Like, take charge of making sure it's worth it for you. And by the way, hello, Peppermint Wisp. Welcome in. How are you doing today? Saw a woman invited to speak at a disability conference, but their ramp wasn't correct, so she couldn't get on stage. You hate to learn by example like that. It's fucking embarrassing, but there you go. Yeah, some people really like university. Some people really enjoyed their experience, and it is extremely individual. But yeah, advocate for yourself. Yeah, and cling to the things that are really important, because those professors and those classes are not going to be there forever. But, you know, you are. You're gonna be with yourself forever. So take care of yourself first. You had a teacher obsessed with minimalism and you prefer purple prose and scenic writing and it didn't go well. It's like, I appreciate that, like, there's a lot to be learned from people having different styles and it's fun to play around with that. But, like, you cross a line when people start to get into this idea of, like, no, you can only do it this way, right? And some of the most worthwhile experiences I had in school were from moments where I did push back on the ideas that my professors had about things that I could or couldn't do, right? Like, I had a huge, difficult relationship with my watercolor professor. Things were not going well for me mentally at that point, and I did not understand what was happening to me, so I was, like, kind of imploding at that point that I was taking that class, and there was some conflict there, and so I started being, like, really, like, stubborn about stuff in that class. And I remember at one point he was talking about how you couldn't, like, don't leave big white sections in your work, right? And so I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make a piece of work that has a whole bunch of white section in it. And I got a really good grade on it, and I won awards for that thing. So I think if you're going to push back on an idea like that, do it with your whole chest and make it worthwhile for yourself. You know, prove your point, right? And if you can't prove your point, then hey, maybe you learned something too from the fact that, maybe there is some value in this idea, you know? Treat it as like a scientific method, right? That these rules, these laws that professors are laying out for you, that's a fucking hypothesis. You need to scientifically test that hypothesis to see if it's legit. Your big fear was getting over thinking tutors would hate you if you asked them something. That's very real too. Learning to ask for things is hard. Yeah, happy to have you here, Scarlett. I know that's a scary thing, but we're here for you. Yeah, and yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, one professor's opinion is one professor's opinion. You're gonna graduate and you don't ever have to see them again. Your main fear is asking to go over the homework in front of all your classmates. I don't think that you should be afraid of that, Alex, because the point of homework is for you to learn from it, and if you don't fully understand what you did, then there was no point in you fucking doing it. So if that's the only time that you have to go over that is in the middle of class, then that's the time that you should be going over it. And, like, your professor should not be giving you homework and then being like, well, figure it out. Like, or teacher, I mean. Like, then what is the point of them then, you know? Yeah, and somebody else probably has the same question and they're too nervous to ask. And so if neither one of you asks, then, well, neither one of you got to learn that day. Normally I'd say yes, but I had a kid ask me if they could eat the wall cotton candy in my classroom. I mean, now they know. Usually you just hope someone else asks the question you didn't get. Yeah, it can be scary sometimes. I think that's a really good point too, because sometimes people assume that they know things and understand things, and they'll be like, ugh, that's silly, everybody already knows that. And then they hear the explanation, and then they have to go, oh, wait, shit, I misunderstood that, right? Like, people think they're hot shit until they get into the weeds a lot of the times, and then they have to confront reality, so... I feel like a really good way to level the playing field with that kind of stuff too is to have other students answer the question that you're asking. So like if you ask the teacher, can you explain this concept, and the teacher calls on somebody who thinks that they understood it to explain it, because I think that that reinforces the knowledge for the student who is explaining it, and then it's also a great way to see if they actually get it the way that they think they do. Yeah, asking questions is a skill, 100%, because it can be so hard to take something that you don't know and contextualize that in words. And a lot of people, are really at a disadvantage when it comes to trying to ask for things, even at the fucking grocery store. I'm telling you, if you've ever worked in retail, you probably know what I'm talking about. Alex, I promise you, I have met many annoying kids in your math, not in your math class, but in math class. No, I know how kids are. Remember, you were there for you. You were there for your own knowledge and education. No, don't you worry, that kid is gonna get theirs. They can try different method all day long until it's not right. And that kid probably has a lot of insecurity to make them need to pipe up like that. So let Garrett do Garrett's thing, right? Garrett is irrelevant to you. Yeah, exactly. Just because you can do something one way, that's not necessarily the point of the lesson that you're learning. Exactly. Because you need to learn why things do what they do when you put them in an equation. So if all you ever do is like, well, I memorized that 2 times 2 is 4, so actually I can just know that now and I don't have to show my work. Yeah, but do you know why 2 times 2 is 4? Garrett will not survive in the world. Zephyr, that sounds like a threat. Don't worry, apparently Zephyr is just gonna take this kid out for you. 100% Ash, yeah. Exposure therapy for asking questions in here. And let this also be a rubric for you, because this is how people should be reacting to you when you ask questions, right? So like we may be exceptional, but compared to like some other people that you've interacted with, but this is how everybody should be reacting to you, and the people who've reacted to you poorly are the dicks, and they shouldn't be doing that, and so you shouldn't assume that everyone will do that, because actually they're the exceptions, right? Black Cat, thank you so much for stopping in. You just saw the project on your Instagram. I appreciate that. Thank you for saying so. And glad you found us. We're having an intense discussion about people being buttheads about asking questions and how we think that's dumb. Yeah, if you're getting crap for asking a question, that's when you just pull out the, oh, so you don't know the answer. Why are you having a fit about this question if it's such a simple, straightforward question? Why don't you just answer it then? Just answer the question, then we can move on. Why is it a big deal to you? I love when people have questions about something I know stuff about. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the people in here do. This is a very neurodivergent space, and if there's one thing that we love to do, it's to info dump about stuff. Your boyfriend will occasionally ask a crochet question, and you have to remind yourself he doesn't know anything about crochet and give him an honest answer. You get frustrated with your colleagues during faculty meetings because they take 80 years to ask a question that's not a question and more a personal story and grievance phrased as a question. Yeah, like, time and place, right? Like, yes, ask questions are important, but it's not always an appropriate time for you to ask a question. Welcome back from Adele, everyone. I will also say, I think that when people ask you questions about things that you assumed were like a given and very obvious, I find that fun a lot of the time because it's really interesting to me to learn like, oh, that isn't just an assumed thing that everybody knows. Like, you know, there's a chance for me to understand that I need to broaden my worldview, and understand a little bit more about like what is you know, really common learned experience and what is not. Like, when I realized that a lot of people don't actually have really strong foundational knowledge of like how colors work, like, you know, like some people don't know that yellow and red make orange, and for me that's like the sky is blue level knowledge, right? Because I grew up with it. So it definitely gave me a better understanding of like, oh, this is the kind of information people need sometimes when they're like learning about colors for the first time. Like, I think it's important to engage with that stuff as a learning opportunity for yourself as well, instead of just assuming, well, everybody else should know everything that I know, or they're dumb. And yeah, Alex, absolutely. asserting your pronouns is important. Like, yeah, you know, people shouldn't assume from a name anyway, but it would be nice if they would assume correctly, you know, when you want them to assume things. But yeah, definitely let your teachers know, because I wouldn't think that's a given. Your glasses went missing, Ash? What is going on over there? Yeah, tape. More tape. Your name's Cooper and you get she heard? I mean, like, I don't know. I think Jack is a pretty solidly, like, masculine name. Not that I want to be he-himmed, but, like, you know, there was a character in Degrassi who was a girl named Jack. So, like, names are just words. Jackie is sometimes shortened to Jack. Yeah, but, like, if you're saying, like, I go by Jack, people aren't going to automatically assume, like, oh, you shortened your name to this more masculine sounding thing, you must use he, him pronouns, right? Boobies. Ah, yes, I've heard of Love Lies Bleeding, yes. I need to watch it. You recognize that you didn't like being called, that you liked he, him better than they, them, but you still went with the non-binary thing for a year. I mean, he, him non-binaries exist. It's all valid. It's all just, we all gotta go at our own pace, right? And understand that we all have our own individual relationship with gender, and it's gonna be your own thing. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do it. But it is kind of funny sometimes, the things that don't click for us. Everyone has their own pronoun tier list. 100%. That's a great way to put it. Oh, you've never, I thought for a second, Shy, that you were saying you've never met another female Cheyenne, and I was like, have you met male Cheyennes? That's, I would be surprised, but you were saying you have never met a not female Cheyenne. Sasha, hello. Nickel, you gotta get in the Discord. There are so many pet pics in there. Thank you, Scarlett. My pronouns are they, them until someone pushes back and then I become non-confrontational. Yeah, I'm pretty bad about not correcting people, but it's also because I've kind of gotten to a point where, like, I don't really care that much. So I just kind of like, whatever. Like, anybody who knows better is not gonna do that. And if they are inclined to do that, then I probably don't talk to them that much. Oh, yes. So, I wrapped the end of my hook with, well, there's some duct tape in the middle there, but it's like the self-adhering, like, medical bandage. It's just to add some girth to it, yes. It makes it more ergonomic. So, most of my crochet hooks look like this. I love these. They feel really good in my hand, but then obviously at the beginning of the project, this crochet hook was more like this, which is not as good for your hand. And for a really long time, it was not bothering me at all. And I think it's because my grip on the hook was a little bit different, but I have started choking up on it a little bit more with like my pinky finger. And so it was starting to bother me in this part of my hand. So I did put a grip on there. Yeah, your grandpa will dead name you and you won't say anything, but when they misgender your friend, yeah, it's a different story. It's so much easier to advocate for somebody else, for sure. But I also feel like sometimes, and I try to remember this with my mom too, like, you gotta give people a chance, you know? And, like, my mom has told me, like, yes, please correct me. You know, she's older, and so sometimes it's just hard for her to get it straight in her head, but, like, she wants to use the right pronouns. She wants to do it the right way. And whenever she messes it up, she's, like, so, like, God, what is wrong with me? Like, it's just this weird experience for her being like, why is this not sticking in my head? Like, so, you know, she has requested, she's like, yeah, absolutely. If I mess it up, I want you to correct me because it'll make me aware that I'm doing it and help me stop doing it. So I feel like sometimes, you know, you can even think of it as like, I'm going to be fair to this other person by giving them the chance to do better. It's my mom accepting children. Yeah, my mom's pretty great. You've been meaning to ask it some time now, and all of this questions talk, I decided to ask it. Absolutely. Y'all are welcome to ask pretty much anything. If I don't want to answer a question, I will tell you that, and I just won't answer it. Oh no, your goal went to shit. I'm sorry, Yuki. I know that's so frustrating. Your mom made the switch easy for you, but didn't switch well at all for your friend? Because she's older and, and he, him, and she, oh yeah, she's older and, like, more traditional in that way about pronouns, yeah. Oh, yeah, the Mormon mom. Yeah. Yeah, it's really hard when, you know, people are just in that mentality where it's like, I fundamentally am not willing to engage with your identity at all. She used to say she and then overcorrect herself to he and eventually would land on the they. That's like my mom cycling through names. My whole life, too. This is not even like a recent thing with me changing my name. This is like my whole life she's been doing this. She would call me by my dog's name. So she'd be like, Cricket, Emily, and then she'd say my name. So sometimes parents are just like that. And I can relate. I'm old enough now. I'm like, oh yeah, my memory should too. You had those nightmares where, like, you went to class naked, but it was you dead naming your sister? No, for real. I had, my name invading my dreams is so funny because I feel like my name does not come up in my dreams that often, but, like, I did have a dream not that long ago where I got called my correct name in the dream, and I was like, oh wow, this is like so cool. Like in the dream I had this awareness of like, oh, I'm not even awake right now and I'm doing this. That's neat. It's like I fully like solidified this name as like my name. I know, when TikTok stumbles upon the niche content, it's a shame, Ash. Oh my god, Alex. I told her to imagine a mouse in their pocket and they were a hive mind. No, I love that because there's this whole thing about, like, conservatives being like, you know, if you're they, them, it's because you have a devil on your back or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, sure, we can do that. If that helps you remember, I'm fine with that. You've been dog named far too much. Yeah, no, absolutely. Not the my Shayla trend. That's so funny. That's like, my last name is a first name. And, so whenever I was in school, there was another kid in my class who had that as his first name. And he'd get called on, and I would, like, jump being like, is it me? Are they using my last name randomly for some reason? Yeah, Evil? Yeah, weird name for a child. I know, but this one kid, you just had to know him. He was like that. You'll excuse me for wanting to keep at least a little mystery alive. You go by your last name, so you have the same thing? Yeah, parents knew straight away. They could have been a little bit subtle about it and gone with Damien, but no, just really wanted to hit the nail on the head. That is the name of our robot vacuum, by the way. We had another one that we named Bug when we first got him, and he was a sweet little angel of a robot vacuum. But then he had an issue, and we had to send him back to the manufacturer, so they sent us a different unit. And now we have a new one, and this guy is possessed, I swear, so we named him Damien. Henry the Hoover? No, not Henry. You confused the drive-thru kid with your name? Oh, you can't stand your last name. Well, some people have the name Butt as their last name, so just keep that in mind. Or like, oh my god, Jess, what was your teacher's name when you were a kid? And that one kid was like, at least your name's not Harry or something like that. Yes, her name was Mrs. Bush, and she was pregnant and asking about baby names, and this girl was like, haha, as long as it doesn't rhyme with Harry. And she looked this girl in the face and said, Betsy, my name is Carrie. Classic moment. Oh, you're the only one in your family with this last name, so it feels disconnected? Yeah, I could see that. You knew a Buttram once? I mean, I went to school with a kid whose first name was Galen, so you can imagine what that was like for him. Joke's on them, though, because we held hands. Which, at this point in time, is very funny, but you catered a wedding where the bride's last name was Hooker, but the husband's last name was Balls? How do these people find each other? You know, honestly, if I were him, I would have felt like, wow, honestly, this is my chance. I'll take Hooker over Balls any day. Match made in hell. People don't take advantage of the fact that they can just pick different names. For real. It's like, trans people do it all the time. Maybe stop being a TERF and appreciate that we're paving the way for you. We're just normalizing changing up your name whenever you want. We all agree that it would be Hooker Balls and not Balls Hooker. Yeah, no, I'm on the same page, Zephyr. Why new name cost money? Yeah, for sure. Your entire given name is such a mess, you're ready to start from scratch. Your name is so many consonants, it feels like you're chewing on it. I mean, I like chewing on stuff. Do I have a list of which DMC color I'm using per pixel? Yes. I don't have it written out like a pattern like you would for cross stitch, where it's like... But I do have the list, yeah. So sometimes I can go, like, compare. Like, for the most part, I'm using these colors often enough that it's like, oh yeah, I know that this is the dark green that I used for the trees, right? But I have my spreadsheet over here that I will, excuse me, reference from time to time. Like if I'm having difficulty figuring out which color I need, I can just, you know, color select and compare the hex code to what's in my spreadsheet. Did I use the sample book to pick color? I did. Yes. That was like a turning point for me too, because I had picked out some before I got the sample book, and then after I got the sample book, I was like, wow, this is literally so much easier and better. Your name has never felt like home, but also introducing yourself with your preferred name filled you with just as much dysphoria. You can pick something else, Nickel. Like you're not relegated to just those two names forever. You can do whatever you want. Make your name anything. That's just a first draft. Yeah, online is a great place to try out new names, 100%. Like, I went by Jack in the context of my business first because I wanted to give myself the opportunity to hear what that would sound like coming from somebody who didn't know me by any other name, so they wouldn't feel like I wouldn't have to deal with the weirdness of, like, somebody trying to, like, remember to correct themselves. Because, like, I don't know. I don't love that feeling. And it makes me feel really awkward. So, like, I was like, well, I'm not going to know if I'm feeling awkward because, like, the name makes me feel awkward or because, like, this other person's awkwardness is making me feel awkward. No, I feel you, Nickel. Like, I'm 32. I changed my name a year or two ago, you know? It takes getting used to, but, like, you're never too old to do whatever the fuck you want to do, right? Just saying, there's something to think about. I'm 36 is like... If life expectancy is 80, you still got 40 plus years of having to hear whatever name that is, you know? That's a long time to go. Goodbye, B8. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out. I think a lot of people think about like self-exploration as this youthful thing, like this thing that we're supposed to do when we're young, and then, you know, once we get older, like okay, we did that part, like we're set in stone now, nothing can change anymore. And like the reality is that, you know, we are mutable beings. We can change anytime we want to, and we should always be striving to change and learn and grow, because that's going to keep you around for a lot longer if you continue to work on growing in that way and learning and all of that. It keeps your brain active, right? Keeps the dementia away. It's considered childish to not know things. But yeah, but a lot of people don't actually know things, and they're just like bluffing because they don't want to be seen as childish. No, absolutely, Nickel. And whatever is comfortable for you is comfortable for you. Absolutely. I think just, you know, reinforcing the idea that you don't have to resign yourself to anything. Not if you don't want to. But yeah, for some people it's just like not worth it. Which I respect that too. Yeah, everybody pretending they know how to be human, but nobody really has a clue. Yes, Adele is back. Forget chaos. Stream today has been pretty deep. I know, Scarlet. We're getting philosophical in here. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's some kind of there's something in the air. Even last night, I was trying to write voiceover for the weekly update, and I was like, why am I like writing poetry or something right now? Like. Gotta figure that out again after stream because it's not done yet. Not the baby ad. Yeah, bring back the pizza. At least the pizza was appealing. Make babies, give us more people to sell things to. My bloodline ends with me, right? I know. Being at the gym, yeah, that's the optimum time to crave pizza. For sure. Gotta get those gains, though. A piece of renewable food source? Okay, Jonathan Swift. You're dealing with a lot of questioning, Alex. That's okay. You don't have to decide anything yet. You got a lot of time to figure that out. It's also okay for your, you know, sexuality to just be like, I don't know. Like, who are you trying to come up with an answer for, right? Oh, I did that wrong. Just kidding for my FBI agent. You know, if they're really doing their jobs that well, you'd think you wouldn't even need to say that. It's like, you should know me by now, man. You know I'm just kidding. Yeah, maybe a hot himbo comes out of the woodwork and you're just like, I'm that, whatever that is. Or, I'm into that, whatever that means. Or I'm attracted to that in some ways and not in others. It's all individual at the end of the day. Labels are for soup cans. Yes, absolutely. Like, I have some that I feel very good about, and I do feel like, to an extent, labels were helpful for me because I think trying to understand my relationship to certain thoughts and feelings was very confusing because I didn't necessarily have those thoughts and feelings. So it's like I had to have these moments of like, oh, hang on, I am not on the same page as everyone else, and I don't think that I could have done that work without labels to an extent. So I think that they have their place, absolutely. But then I also have some areas of my life in which I'm like, I feel like there's something here, but like I can't quite figure out what's going on with this, but I also don't think that it matters. So I'm just gonna kind of let it stay vague, and that's fine. Like, romantically, I can, like, my idea of, like, how would I describe my romantic attraction, I'm like, I don't know, I'm just leaving that queer. Like, I don't know. Yes, they're great for community building and validation, but they aren't the end-all be-all of identity, 100%. Anyone else experience the pansexual to asexual pipeline? I went the other way, right? So, I went, lesbian to asexual to biromantic, I guess? I don't know. I'm like, oh, actually, I'm okay with everyone. I just don't want anyone to touch me like that. don't think I have any long pieces hiding in here that I can pull up. Look but don't touch is your sexuality. I mean, hey, that works for some people for sure. That sounded wrong. No, no, no. I mean, stick to your guns. That's what the cuck chair is for. I'm sorry. We had to go there eventually. We were over, like, it's, well, and actually, I was gonna say we're overdue, but actually we are quite early. It's only been 2 hours. Normally we reserve this for the 3-hour mark. Hi, Tech Loki. How long have I been working on this project? It's been 32 weeks, so just about 7 months at this point. I know, right? Just reorient myself after that. Thank you for the compliment. It's been 84 years. Yeah, it feels like that sometimes. Have I seen the Cuck Chair review reels on Instagram? No, I have not. People are so creative. Amending your statement, will look, won't watch, don't touch. No, absolutely. I feel that. Or I don't feel that. Uh-huh. You're over there like, oh, a cooking chair, like for sitting down in while you cook? Yeah, great idea. Make sure to use tape so it doesn't disappear. Damn. Let's pick on Ash Day, I guess. Me in my wheelchair taping myself in like a seatbelt. No, that's brilliant. We pick because we can. Yes, absolutely. Yes, it doesn't matter that everyone is being very silly right now, 100%. Just like asking questions is always okay. It's also okay to, you know, acknowledge if something is making you uncomfortable and ask for some space. Respect that 100%. Ash says, don't worry, I will fight you if I need to. I'm not scared of you. You've got a cane and a grabber? Yeah, and you can, like, run over their toes and stuff. Have you seen, I think his name is Joseph. He has this sort of, like, parody series that he calls Crip Tips. Playing on the word cripple, obviously, because he has, I think he has AIDS and cerebral palsy. I think that might be what his motor issues are tied to. Forgive me that I don't remember off the top of my head, but he is a wheelchair user. He's an ambulatory wheelchair user, so he also uses a cane sometimes. But a lot of his videos are joking about, like, people asking, like, him a rude question about his disability, and then he's like, cane pain, and, like, joking about, like, and then you just smack him with your cane. You can feel your toes, I can't feel mine. Oh my god. Sometimes I have the urge to smack jerks with my crutches. I think you're entitled to that. You love your crutches because they're your favorite color and you're so fast on them? I feel like that's pretty impressive. You sprayed somebody with your inhaler one time? That is so badass. Oh yeah, when you're in your chair, people, like, treat you like an object and stuff. Yeah, it's unbelievable to me that people do that. That's why that fucking cutscene with Penny where she does that to George, I'm like, excuse me? Reasons I will not marry Penny. Pissing Penny off all the time in that scene. I 100% would if it's like the times that I've gotten the cutscene, the entire reason that I was there in the first place was because I was trying to max out friendship with everyone. So I'm like, I'm only being nice to you because I'm getting something out of this. Otherwise, I would take that so fast. But I'm like, I'm not gonna let you screw up my plan for this playthrough. Yeah. Like, why can't you just, like, ask them to move like you would anyone else? I think a lot of the time, too, like, people who do stuff like that, it just goes to show that that's kind of how they think about people anyway. And it's just that when they're encountering like a disabled person, it's just the first time they feel like they can get away with actually acting on those feelings, which is so fucked up anyway. But like, I think that a lot of those people who do things like that just don't have a lot of regard for most people that they meet. What color am I using for this? Probably that one. That's close. It's closer than that one. Oh, it is the same as that one. I see, that's why I have it, but I didn't realize this was slightly different. But it's fine, it literally doesn't matter. I'm not going to care. This is not a diving competition. You don't have to try to discover the lowest bar. You like to imagine that it's a learning experience for her and she changes her ways. Yeah, you never know. Good night, Zephyr. Thanks for hanging out. Do not close OBS, thank you. You believe everyone in Pelican Town has redeeming qualities except Clint and Pierre and Lewis, and not to mention Morris. Demetrius is on thin ice. I'm a Demetrius apologist, I'll admit it. I mean, I don't like love him or anything. I just think I think that he's fine. I think that he needs to be taught some better manners, but I think that he can learn. A mandatory hand and wrist stretch checkpoint. That's a very good idea, Ash. Absolutely. I'm like taking advantage of the warmth of this mug on my hand right now. Just like my hand therapy too. Just like take a second to like grip it and enjoy the warmth on my joints. You finished the last section of your cross-stitch commission for the day? That's awesome. Yeah, you definitely stretch. Yeah, crochet and hot drink. And it's like gloomy and overcast out there. I'm basically living off of chai lattes right now because it's one of the few things that I can have that's like good. But I get the decaf one, so I can do that without like destroying myself. Drizzly outside the gym windows. That's nice to feel cozy in the gym. So you can get decaf. I get the chai latte concentrate from Tazo, and they have the decaf one at my local grocery store. And then you just do half concentrate, half milk, and pop it in the microwave for 2 minutes. It's perfect. Yeah, it's so good. I have always loved the Tazo chai latte concentrate. A long time ago, that was what Starbucks carried. I think that's probably when I first had it. And at some point, they swapped to something else, but the Tazo one remains amazing. Yes, it's so good. Yes, I'm trying. Trying to be good. Yes, happy Starbucks worker strike to all who celebrate. Yes, if you have not heard, there is a call for a general strike right now. They are protesting some union busting behavior, I believe is what we're doing right now. Not that there aren't lots of reasons to protest Starbucks, but I believe that's specifically why the general strike is being called at this point in time. You've been thinking of brewing chai and apple cider and then adding lemon and orange slices or orange spice tea? That does sound amazing. You should do like a big pot on the stove and like boil it all together like mulling spices or something. Yeah, apple cider is so good. General in general, yep. Yeah, union busting and general workers' rights, for sure. Yeah, their policies, they've been getting more and more crazy with, like, their expectations, for sure. It's like the mega corporations get any pushback from the public, and their immediate thought is, like, what if we made it even worse for everybody that works here, instead of going, like, oh, people don't like it when we do that thing. Gotcha. The Minnesota Target smiling policy. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm pretty familiar with policies like that because Whole Foods had something similar when I was working there. Not necessarily about smiling, but like the same kind of thing. Like when somebody gets within a certain range of you, you should acknowledge them. When somebody is, within a smaller range than you, you should like greet them and talk to them. Yeah. Yeah, Marriott had a similar thing. Yeah, every single person you walk past, you're like, hi! You seem so friendly, but it's actually just a trauma response. You're gonna fight several corporations? Yeah, it's called for sure. Friendliness as a trauma response, yeah, is... Oof. That's a big one. Customer service is so fucking soul-sucking. It's like, let me be as nice as I possibly can, to the point that I'm exhausting myself to this person who views me as subhuman. Yeah, as a consumer, I don't need that. I don't enjoy that. I hate it when people do that to me. Like, I don't want people to pay me a bunch of attention. I don't like when people greet me at the door. Like, leave me alone and let me shop, please. And it's because it's not really what that's about. Like, the customers who are having expectations about that kind of thing, I believe, are in the minority. That mentality is 100% for corporate. It's about controlling your employees. Yes, this is a tapestry. So I am crocheting well, there's an ad break happening now, so I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm crocheting the Stardew Valley world map, and I will repeat that in just a minute when the ad break is over. It's so funny to think of that explanation getting cut off, like literally the second before you can hear it. I'm crocheting the ad prison. Priosin. Ad priosin. Pregonate. Pregante. Pregnant. Welcome back, Ash. Hopefully you can hear me now, Peppermint. I did realize that I got cut off immediately as I started to answer your question, so now that we're back, I can get into that. Yes, this is tapestry crochet. I am working on crocheting the Stardew Valley world map, so I'm over halfway through at this point. I do weekly updates every single week, so you can find probably a better view of what the whole thing looks like if you visit my socials, my various socials. Let me get that up for you. Pegant, thank you. Thank you, Tree Sanctuary. Indeed. We have a bunch of knowers in here. So yeah, quite a big tapestry indeed. Oh my god, the first time I watched that thing, Ash, like, I was literally sobbing. We're having echolalia time. It just took me out. You gotta try to medicate your pup in a new way because he's too smart. Uh-oh. Yeah, my cat Jude fights me when it's medicine time. But she is very sweet, you know, in the grand scheme of things. She could be a lot worse about it, but she's pretty nice to me. I will give her that. Your dog will eat literally anything? I feel like so often it's like that too, where it's like, yeah, sure, I'll eat whatever except for that. It's the one time I'm not gonna swallow it. He was hiding pills in the carpet before you checked his mouth? That's diabolical. Jude has learned how to fake swallow. She'll pretend that she swallowed it, and then she'll walk away from me and spit it out as she's walking away. So there were a couple of instances where I would find her medicine in the carpet. But then I figured out that she was doing that, and now I make sure she swallowed it. And she doesn't like that. Does not appreciate it one bit, but oh, it helps her feel so much better. Your uncle took his dog back. Reunited at last. Have I tried blowing on her nose? She does not give a shit about that. She just sits there and looks grumpy like, what are you gonna do? I'm not responding to that. Yeah, I know. I literally have to pry open her mouth and stick my finger down her throat. Yeah, fingers crossed for you, Scarlet. My cats know when I put pills in their food, so I hope that he does not see through you. The previous cat that used to have to medicate would eat anything wrapped in cheese. You end up having to medicate this cat. Yeah, it's like, I'm glad it's Jude, because the other two, I'm like, if y'all ever need something like this, well, we might just be doomed, because I don't know if you're gonna let me do this to you. Like, she's the nice one, and she's fighting me this much. Like, if I have to do this to Carmilla, I'm gonna get mauled. Agatha also really hates being given pills because she has to take gabapentin sometimes because she has anxiety, and so like there is a period of time there where we were trying to get like an accurate reading on her heart to see if she had a murmur, and so the vet was like, we're gonna give her gabapentin so that she comes in a little bit calmer, because like I can't tell if she's just having like an anxiety, like her, you know, her heart going really fast response right now. And so we were giving her gabapentin for that. So when it was time for us to move cross country, we were like, okay, we're going to give Agatha gabapentin for the car ride and for like, you know, the first little bit as we're moving into this new apartment. Because when we moved into our, like the last time we moved, she got so badly freaked out. She was like having a panic attack that lasted for like 12 plus hours once we got into the new apartment, and was just walking around all night long, like yelling, like freaked out, like panting. I was so scared from that. Like I thought she was going to give herself a heart attack. So she needs the anxiety meds is the point of that. But she still is so bad about not wanting to take them. I have to like, and she's smart too is the thing. So like if I was giving her meds on a schedule, she would 100% catch on to me. Like when I was having to give her the meds every single day while we were driving across the country, I would have to like sneak up on her and jump on her before she could figure out what I was doing. So if it was like Jude, where this has been going on with Jude for months now, so she's had time to get used to it, Agatha would have figured out my game by now and would have figured out a way to evade me by now. Like, I live in fear of the day I have to do the same thing for Agatha. Yeah, I know. I wish they understood why we were doing it better. It's just, it's hard to make them understand it. At least Jude is so cute now because when she hears her, the rattle of her pill minder, because she's got a pill minder, she will go run and get in her bed. So she likes to be in her bed for when she gets her medicine. Which I'm okay with because then I always know where she is and then I can kind of like wrap her up in her bed a little bit and put her where I need her to be. And I feel like it's less stressful for her because then I don't have to like pull her out of her bed that way, you know? Like I don't have to pull her. Sometimes if she's in the living room, she'll run underneath the coffee table and then that sucks because I have to grab her and tug her out from underneath the coffee table. But yeah, I like that her bed is her comfortable place, yeah. So it's like hopefully a little bit soothing for her that she can be getting her medicine while she's in her bed. And we have a cat carrier that's like that too, where instead of like it just being like a door that you open and then you have to like reach into the carrier and like pull the cat out, which is pretty stressful for them, the whole bottom of the carrier slides out so that you can access the cat and they don't ever have to leave the carrier if they don't want to, if they feel safer in there. Sasha loves her carrier. I was really surprised after we had that cross-country move because, like, whenever we put the cats in their carriers, we leave the carriers out after the fact for a while so that they don't have this association of, like, anytime I see my carrier, that means something bad is going to happen, right? So even after the move, after they'd had to be, like, in their carriers so much for, like, a full week, they would still go in there and like nap and they enjoyed it. So that was that made me really happy to see. You think it worked? He's eating the food? And you joke, Scarlett, but giving my cat anxiety meds was literally like what got me to ask for a prescription from a doctor. You need a better slow feeder? Oh my gosh, you're having the opposite problem now. I tried to do that with Jude at one point because she was being a little piggy. We got her one of those little feeders that has like the bumps and stuff in the bottom so that they kind of have to like, they can't just scoop it all up in their mouth at once. They kind of have to like get one at a time. And the way that Jude was like, get this shit out of my face. Like she didn't even want to eat out of it at all. She was so offended that I tried that. She's so funny because she's such a sweet little girl, but then she's also like really stubborn about certain things. Oh, you got Sasha a new dish because she would never finish her food because she was getting whisker fatigue. Well, good thing you swapped it out, yeah. Poor little baby. I'm glad you could figure out a solution for her. Oh no, you gotta wash your water dish. At one point in time, we got a bunch of water dishes because we were gonna have to go away for a couple days and we didn't have like a pet sitter to stay with them, so we were like, okay, we'll just put out a whole bunch of food and a whole bunch of water and they'll be okay. They can hang out for a couple days and be fine. So now we have like we can do a rotation of the water dishes because it's the exact same water dish. So one of them gets picked up and put in the sink to wash, and then we have a fresh one that we can put out. Despite not doing much today, you're exhausted? Yeah, get some rest, Raven. Thanks for hanging out. It's just a sign that you need to take it easy. You have a pixie cat fountain for Sasha? Yeah, I feel like we need to get one of those for my girls. I'm just really hopeful that they won't flip it over like they did when they had the, like the water jug. The water cooler. Johnny Bufferton is a diva and also has a fancy fountain. Hi, Groucho. How are you doing? Every time you talk about Johnny Boofer, I just imagine he's got a switchblade comb and a leather greaser jacket. His sister, the possum, would and has drank out of your coffee mugs and the toilet. Yeah, we have to keep the toilet lid closed in this house because there have been too many close calls with cats almost falling into the toilet trying to drink out of it. So we're like, no, we're not doing that. So whenever we have guests over, I have to make sure the lid is getting closed behind everyone. Oh no, not the migraine, Mambo. Definitely give your eyes a break. I always have water within arm's reach as well. It's just a matter of whether or not I actually drink it. Oh, you're volunteering at a virtual conference? You don't know if you can sit still that long? Maybe you can, do something else, you know, like, get up and move around somehow while you're, monitoring the chat. Yeah, crochet would be good for that, but yeah, for sure is not as good when you have to keep your eye on text, so... In your 30s, you learn you've been experiencing ocular migraines your whole life. Yeah, they come for me pretty regularly. Closing when you close your eyes and you're like, wow, that feels amazing. Like that's when you know, uh-oh, I'm having a migraine. That is so funny, Crojo. Yeah, standing desk would be a good idea. There you go. You're just showing yourself a little self-love. Oh, have a beautiful country field to look at? That's nice. Yeah, smart people often talk to themselves, it's true. You'd been seeing rifts in the space-time dimension? How interesting. Totally not something else going on there. That's an interesting way to hear auras being described, but I feel like it makes a lot of sense. Like, I don't get auras like that. I more feel like I have like a white vignette that starts to come in at the edges of my vision. So like what I'm able to focus on gets like narrower and narrower, like kind of like tunnel vision, but it's just more of like a, like everything is getting like frosted over, like frosted glass style. So I don't get a lot of like auras like that, but I guess sometimes I do, because maybe that's a good way to describe, like, when I was in oil painting, I was experiencing issues with eye strain that I didn't realize at the time, and I had difficulty being able to see, like, the paint colors that I was trying to use and, like, distinguish the paint colors, because it looked like all of the paint had, like, super shiny, like it was all reflecting the light to the point that all the paint had big white spots on top, that I couldn't like move and see around or like get out of the light some way, and I'm like, oh, that was eye strain. That was probably auras. Yeah. Lots of things you complained about as a kid that were dismissed that ended up being chronic conditions. Yeah. It's really irritating growing up and being like, wow, I didn't have to deal with this thing this whole time, but, you know, here we are. Yeah, that's how it feels finding out you're autistic as an adult. Absolutely, I get that. Like, a lot of shit that I was struggling with, like, as soon as I started incorporating, like, you know, coping mechanisms and things based off that information of, like, you know, this is what is a negative stimulus for, you know, autistic people. This is a strategy that autistic people employ, things like that. And, like, just sort of, like, even if I'm wrong, I'm just gonna toy around and kind of treat myself like an autistic person and utilize this knowledge, and wow, lo and behold, it really, really helped me. There's been a period of grieving for sure. Yeah, it's understandable. I think especially when it's like having that knowledge just makes everything easier. Not that it necessarily fixes everything, but it's like, you know, it's, you still need to put the nails in the wall, but you were trying to just push the nails in with your hands before, and now you have a hammer. That's what you basically do with ADHD hack kind of stuff? Yeah. Relatable. It's like, oh, well, when you're leaning on this stuff an awful lot, like, that might tell you something. Didn't know that issues with directions could be linked to autism. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. I listened to a podcast, and one of the co-hosts was talking about how she has that thing, and like was actually diagnosed with that, whatever it's called. There are a lot of like comorbidities like that with autism, for sure, that are linked. Yeah, if stuff helps, then do it for sure. You don't have to like have a diagnosis to utilize coping mechanisms or resources and tools, you know. Or opening a pack of scissors without a second pair of scissors, yeah. Yeah, that's fucking impossible. Undiagnosed but peer-reviewed is, yes, it's a good way to look at it. The conference you're going to is for autistic health providers? That sounds really cool and interesting. I know, for a lot of autistic people, discovering autism, autism itself becomes something of a special interest, so I can see that being very interesting for sure. Software comorbidities versus hardware comorbidities? That's so funny. I think I have amps. That's kind of a hardware thing. So, what is it? Amplified musculoskeletal pain syndrome, I think is what that stands for. But, yeah, basically just like in some areas of your body, sometimes being touched is painful. I feel like that's because it's like, it's not, my experiences are not like fibromyalgia level, but then I have some random shit that happens sometimes where I'm like, okay, this is not like a random normal thing. Like this is like a something, and AMPS is a common comorbidity with autism. So, yeah, it's not like awful, but it'll be things like, I get a lot of pain in my neck and my like upper back from doing like really mild stuff sometimes. I haven't been dealing a lot with it lately, but I think a lot of that is more about like I've learned to identify my triggers and avoid them rather than like it's not actually a thing. So like I'll have like, you know, I'll feel like I was lifting weights for 24 hours and it's like all I did was like go have coffee with someone and talk to them, you know, and it's like just something about how I'm holding myself creates all of this pain for me. Or like my scalp is like super sensitive, or like when we're falling asleep sometimes, if Jess touches me gently on the back with their elbow, like it feels like I'm being stabbed. Like it's just random shit sometimes. Yeah, it's like I will take that over some of the other shit that I could be dealing with. Like, it's not full-on fibro, so it's not like an all-the-time thing. So 100% I count myself lucky, but there are definitely times when it's like yeah, this fucking sucks so bad right now. Like, the fact that I can manage it to the point where I'm not dealing with it all the time makes me feel like I'm pretty lucky, you know? But there's definitely stuff that, like, I don't do because I would be in pain if I did it. Can't wait to talk about that when the ad break is over. Okay, the ad break is over. Let me backtrack for a second here. I feel like I got a lot to catch up on. So, Ash, you said you got the Ehlers-Danlos and Potts, but you'd never heard of AMPS? Yeah. In general, dysautonomia. Dysautonomia. That one's a tongue twister. Yeah, AMPS is an interesting one, and it's not super well understood. I feel like it's mostly diagnosed in children, but I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I jive with this pretty damn hard. And also, I've been dealing with the same thing since I was a child. Like, I used to scream if my mother tried to brush my hair. Like, I've always had such a sensitive scalp. Checking off the worry stone for Yuki. Okay. Good job. Scarlet is leaving, I guess, but said oven at work broke and jettisoned a bunch of raw chickens into a heap in the heated machine. I can't wait for an explanation for that one. You have piriformis syndrome, Nicole, which is what got you into the gym more reliably than the prospect of weight loss. Yeah, I feel like that makes sense. Like, feeling like you're doing something for yourself in the everyday. Like, I don't really know anything about what piriformis syndrome is like, but I get where you're coming from, because, like, going to the gym was helping a lot with, like, my back pain, and I would still be doing it, but I'm struggling to eat right now because I have to eat low fat because of my gallbladder has gallstones in it, but I'm getting that in December, and then after that I can hopefully go back to eating normally, and I'll feel like I can go to the gym again. I know I need to be, like, eating. It's just a whole thing. It's a whole tangled mess in my head. Yes, Crojo, I was talking about AMPS, which is Amplified Musculoskeletal Pain Syndrome, which is kind of like in the same family as fibromyalgia, but it's different, because it's like fibromyalgia is kind of like an all-the-time pain thing, and then AMPS is like more specific and like more in like specific areas, I guess. Like, I'm not positive that's what it is, but that's the closest thing that I've been able to point to that I'm like, I feel like this describes what I'm experiencing kind of well. And it's also one of those things where it's like, yeah, I could go talk to a doctor about it, but they can't do anything for me, so like, what's the point? Yes, dysautonomia. Yeah, it's one of those words where it's like, it's like, I'm not dyslexic, but there are certain words where it's like my brain wants to do a dyslexic thing, I feel like it's specifically M's and N's that like I try to switch up sometimes. So like my brain is trying to go dysautomnia, and I'm like, no, that's the wrong order. You have gastroparesis. They were accusing you of having an eating disorder. That's... I hate that when doctors come at you from an angle of like, no, prove that you're having a problem. Prove it that you're not a liar. Like that's not the place to start from. You have chronic greater trochanteric bursitis after a significant fall where you were 16. That's a mouthful. You want to work out to feel proportional? Yeah, you got plenty of time for that, Alex. Yeah, I mean, start now for sure. You know, build the habit, and it'll be easier to work on starting young for sure. But you can make that happen 100%. Piriformis syndrome is an anterior butt muscle chews on your sciatic nerve where it exits your spine. Oh, yeah. I get sciatic pain sometimes too. It was definitely worse when I was on my feet a lot, but like I would be on my feet all day and then I would come home, I would sit down on the couch to take my shoes off, and the second I stood up, it was like I got like grabbed in the butt cheek and I'd be like hobbling around from the sciatic pain. Yeah, that's not fun. I'm glad the gym is helping with that. Yeah, the disordered eating, being not an eating disorder, just being ADHD, like, revealing itself is so real. Yes, we've collected the full set of comorbidities. I know, we've got enough going on for real. It's basically chronic inflammation on the outside of your leg. Ugh, that sounds like it fucking sucks. Anything in the joint is so... Ugh. Like, joint pain is the worst because you just can't do anything about it. It's not exactly the joint, though. It just, like... Oh, it's just under the joint. I see. But does it, like, affect the joint? Like, the inflammation makes the joint hurt? Your parents confronted you about it? Oh, gosh. I mean, also, is that even helpful? Like, do you understand enough about what the eating disorder is to even answer that question, right? Not saying that you don't, but like, I'm just saying that's a big assumption, you know, when you're confronting someone about it. Like, it's kind of like asking, did you do this super weird thing to yourself? It's also very blamey. I don't know. I don't think people understand chronic pain at all. I think that's a pretty safe bet. Yeah, even I don't always get it, but sometimes you get an injury. If I had to deal with this every day forever, I understand why people have absolutely, like, it... Dealing with something constant like that, it's like... Yeah, of course people develop substance use issues and things like that. Like, when you are having just constant pain like that, it'll drive you crazy. Absolutely crazy. There you go, Mambo. Yeah. You don't eat all day and then... Yeah, it's just not clicking for you. That's so classic ADHD, honestly. Okay. Oh, okay. There's a visible bump on the side of your hip because of the inflammation. And the doctor who looked at it when you were 18 was like, pulled muscle in the knee? Wait, how do you get that from that? Yeah, that looks rough. That's good though that it's mostly manageable for you. Yeah, I don't, it's like at a certain point here we're just abandoning logic. Like, I guess sometimes, like, referred pain is a thing, or like, you know, sometimes something will go wrong in one part of our body, and then we will hurt ourselves in another place as like a way to compensate for that, you know? So injuries that are in different places can certainly be related, but it seems very strange to jump immediately to that instead of focusing on the initial thing first. Fully convinced chronically ill people will always know more about their condition than the doctors that treat them. I think that it is useful when healthcare providers sort of look at their treatment as like a collaborative effort rather as than them like telling the patient what's going on with them. And I think that that's like, you know, the sign of a good doctor when they do approach things that way. And work together with their patients, because it's like, of course I know more about what's happening in my body than you do. You just have access to equipment to look at it in a new way. Like, yeah. Like, you don't get to tell me whether or not something is happening to me. Your job is to tell me why it's happening. And if you don't know that, you don't then tell me that I'm imagining things. You know, if you can't figure it out, that does not mean that I am incorrect. Like, cope harder. You're on the hunt for a new primary care doc because you're tired of trying to explain yourself. Yeah, I 100%. Like, that's so exhausting. And like, I have a lot of anxiety around doctors in the first place, so like getting that kind of like pushback from a doctor, I don't deal well with it. Like, I clam up in that kind of situation really bad. So yeah, I definitely have to have a doctor that's going to listen to me, because otherwise it's just, I'm not going to get treatment. Oh no, you don't want to run out of BoJack? Well, the answer is then you just watch BoJack again. Am I going to frame the project? So I'm not going to put a frame on it because it kind of already has a frame on it. But I'm going to mount it, yes, just like I did Sebastian. And then I will be putting it on the wall. I have a spot all picked out for it. Yeah, we pay these guys way too much for them to do that shit. Yeah, I did Sebastian the exact same technique. In DMC. That was definitely my my primer for getting into this project. Yeah, if y'all haven't seen Sebastian, I'll grab him for you. This is the second one of these that I did. So the first one I ever did was actually Alex, because a friend had requested it. So same technique with DMC floss, and then it's mounted with a piece of backing board sandwiched in between the crochet and a piece of felt, and then it's sewn together. Kind of see. Stop focusing on my hand, please. There we go. Are we not gonna? There we go. Just sewn together there. This is my husband. We're almost at the 3.5 hour mark. I know, this is crazy. And here I thought I would have enough time for 2 rows today, and I'm only just now, we're not even gonna have enough time for starting today. That's so funny. You haven't decided what you want to do first yet, if you're gonna crochet some Stardew Valley stuff? I know there's so many good options to choose from. You had a full-on anxiety attack while trying to be honest about your mental health, and he asked why you were feeling anxious. And you're like, that's what I want to figure out. And then said weight loss was the answer. That's so annoying. Not everything is about that. Where do I get my backing board? So this was a piece of like chipboard, like really thick chipboard that I had already had left over from when I was in school. So I don't know where to recommend, but there's all kinds of different things that you can use, like the plastic frames that they make for like latch hook. Those could work really well for smaller pieces. And then for the map, I'm probably actually going to go to Home Depot and have them cut a piece of MDF board to size for me. And then that'll be my backing insert. Frame shops and stuff, yeah, that's a good option too. Yeah, looking around your craft store, there are lots of different options, and like there are lots of different things that you could use for a backing board. Like I'm not using like some officially branded product that's called a backing board. Like, you know, you could pull the hard, the thick piece of cardboard off the back of your sketch pad if that's all you have, right? It just depends on the project. Trying to figure out how to display your tarot cross stitch and struggling. Yeah, I mean, I want to crochet some tarot cards at some point and make them cards. So I want to do them in the same way that I did Sebastian. And I've seen some other people do that too. So like I saw somebody who had like a similar thing that they did. I forget if it was cross stitch or what, but they made like, they had like a front and a back, and they had like cotton batting that they had sewn them to or something. I'll see if I can find it. Mat board, yeah, mat board would also work for sure. Mat board's a good one. Yeah, absolutely. I'll see if I can find that thing. But, you know, definitely, don't be afraid to explore, right? There's no wrong answer. Time to get ready for your massage therapy appointment? Absolutely. Have a great time. I hope that feels so good. I did something wrong. Hang on. I did something wrong. Oh, okay. Did something wrong on the previous row. So we're just gonna add a stitch here. Or somewhere in here to make up the difference. We'll do it right here. And then it's like it never happened. No, I do not backtrack, Nickel, at all, 100%. I find mistakes, you better believe I just leave them in there. It is way too much to frog stuff. So if I... Also, you will not be able to tell, ever. So I just add stitches or take away stitches. Like, it's not that important. And I get people asking me, like, you know, how are you able to do that and not make mistakes? I'm like, the idea that I am not making mistakes on this project is 100% an illusion. There are mistakes all over this project. I don't know if I'll ever not be a baby crocheter. Making a mistake is so scary to me. I feel like if you can get it in your head that mistakes are integral to your learning experience, it's really helpful. So the question is not, what if I make a mistake? It's more about, let me control when I'm going to make this mistake. So, because you should practice making mistakes while you're learning, so that while you're working on simpler things that are lower stakes, you can learn what to do about those mistakes. So the idea that being an advanced crocheter means that you don't ever make mistakes is absolutely not correct. Being advanced means that you know what to do when you do make those mistakes. You know how to fix them, you know how to make up for them, and work with them. So making mistakes is so important and like something to embrace rather than shy away from. Yeah, exactly. You can 100% take those principles from painting and apply it to crochet. Yeah, and for sure, things are intimidating when they're new, but like I think that's why you give yourself, you know, an arena to do it on purpose, right? You know, kind of like how you practice with like figure drawings and like, or sometimes, you know, you're looking for inspiration and you just start throwing paint on a canvas. you know, you build those opportunities into your work to help yourself loosen up. I feel like approaching crochet in the same way is very useful. And there are all sorts of really cool freeform projects out there too, to play around with. Yeah, it's important, just like asking questions. How beautifully full circle we've made this. I've seen How to Fix Your Knitting classes. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I think that's, and like, when I saw people explaining how to fix mistakes in knitting, I went, oh shit, suddenly I understand how knitting stitches work. Because I feel like having that fundamental understanding of like what a stitch is doing in the fabric through repairing it is going to give you a much better understanding of that fabric than if you never made a mistake at all. Mozart was kind of a freak. He might have written a symphony the first time he sat on a piano bench. It's all about perspective, right? It's like a symphony to who? Good art to who? Mistake to who? If you mean to make a mistake, is it still a mistake? But then you've got to make a bunch of swatches. And it would need to include how to read your stitches in general. I mean, maybe. Poke your head in there and be like, hey, are y'all beginner friendly? Well, so I'm not a big fan of swatches either, but have y'all seen when people just make like little squares or rectangles of a stitch and then they frame them? Because that shit is so cute and I really want to do that, and I feel like that's a really good way to trick yourself into making swatches. You're in a Victorian knit-along, which most people are like something Victorian inspired, but you have PDFs of really old books. That's such a cool approach. I love that. You're making a lot of coasters right now? Respect. I respect it for sure. My first crochet project was a hat, but it was a specific technique where you work a rectangle of rib stitch and then you sew one side of it together so that it's like a tube, and then you thread your hook through, you thread your yarn through all of the top loops, and then you pull it so it cinches, and then it's a hat. It's not my favorite way to make a hat at this point, but it was a nice learning experience. Have a great rest of your day, Ash. Thanks for hanging out. Yes, everybody stretch. I will do so after I finish because I'm so close. Oh, are you not feeling the moss stitch? That's valid. I feel like I did a bunch of moss stitch when I was first starting out, and it was not my favorite either. You're making a lace thing from a book from 1847, and she calls all increases make one. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, because like in knitting, there are so many different ways to increase. It's cute to leave it open like that. Welcome back from Adele, everyone. Oh, you do like Moss Stitch. I see. It's easier to see and count. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I think being able to identify where your stitches begin and end is certainly very, very helpful. Yeah, it's one of those things that I'm still, like, very acutely aware of is, like, I've gotten so used to crochet that I feel like I'm pretty good at looking at something and, like, picking out where the stitches are. Less so from a photograph, because I feel like a lot of times it's just hard to see what's going on digitally, but, like, if I have something in person, you know, generally I can look at it and you know, suss out what's going on. But even now, it being a skill that I've developed through, you know, familiarizing myself with something, it still feels like a superpower sometimes. And, like, it makes me feel like I have bionic eyes. Because it's one of those things that's just like, oh, okay, my sight has adapted. Like, I can just see this now. That's weird. Or, like, gosh, I'll be working on something little, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, it looks so bad. It's riddled with mistakes. You can see all the holes in it. And then I'll put it down, and I'll, like, go away from it, and I'll, like, you know, use my eyes regularly, like, looking at normal-sized things. And I'll come back to it, and I'll be like, wait, where did all of my mistakes go? Why does it look fine now? And it's because, oh, I'm not, like, zoomed into the microscopic level anymore. Like, I untelescoped my eyes for a minute, and now everything's fine. Yeah, even understanding the mechanics of it. Yeah, some things are just like that, where you're like, I don't know how I'm doing this, but okay. Which is so funny, too, because I'm like, I feel like a lot of people look at this project and they're like, wow, that's like a superhuman undertaking. And I'm like, oh, this actually feels like really simple to me. Like, I don't actually feel that way about what I'm doing right now, because it feels so straightforward to me. But it's like other little things where I'm like, wow, that's crazy that, like, anybody could do that, let alone me. And it's like being able to look at something. I don't know. It's really funny. It's almost as funny as me thinking that today was going to be the day that we did 2 rows. But y'all really said, we're going to do our jobs today and be distractions. And the conversation was top tier. The sarcastic kitten with a very appropriate raid notification for you there. Welcome in, everyone. How are you doing today? Yes, we finished up this last row while you were gone, so I'm just going to tidy up the back here, and then I'll be able to show everyone and the raiders as well what we were up to today. My name is Jack. I'm a crochet artist. I do other fiber arts as well, and I am working on crocheting the Stardew Valley world map pixel for pixel. So I just finished up a row, and I will show y'all that in just a second. How were y'all today? What were you up to? I hope your stream went well. Let's enjoy some forbidden spaghetti for a moment here. Oh, doing a market prep, making a bunch of parts for Eevee? That's so cute. I hope you, got some good prep done today. Thank you for giving the shout out. I appreciate that. Okay, getting all of our different colors under control. A great amount of progress. That's awesome to hear. Stretch, and there we are. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit for this. So we're heading up towards the fountain below the community center. Gonna head up to the bus stop soon. And we've just started on the farmhouse. And those rolling hills are starting to make themselves a lot more clear at this point. Thank you. Yeah, I know. We've been forging ahead while you've been gone, Mambo. So I will have the weekly update for my progress from last week up later today. We're gonna clean up for now. I had a commission that I was working on, and I actually finally put all of that away in the big box as well. Yes, I am crocheting with DMC thread. Indeed, it is one of the best options for color variety. So I couldn't find anything that had nearly as many color options, and I am using, or will be using by the time I'm done. I still have a few colors left to pick out, but I'll be using more than 70 colors for this project, so I needed a lot of variety for sure. And I also didn't want it to be like, you know, actually the size of a queen size blanket. So it's still a much more manageable size at this scale. You're a cross-stitcher, so you're like, that looks familiar. Yep. Yeah, it's funny. People ask me for a pattern all the time, and I'm not using a pattern because I don't feel like I need one. I just look at the image itself, and that is my pattern, because, you know, it's 1 pixel equals 1 stitch, so it basically already is a pattern. But, you know, I respect that not everybody works that way, and so, you know, all the time people will ask me, like, well, how do you do this? Do you have a pattern? And I'm like, no, but I know somebody who has a cross-stitch pattern, so... I feel like I've been adopted into the cross-stitch community through this project. Yes, they're coin collector sleeves. Thank you, Mambo. They do make similar sleeves for specifically for floss, but I really don't like them. I, had used them for a previous project, and I found that my floss fell out of them super easily. So somebody recommended I try these, and it was a great suggestion because these work amazingly well, especially because they have these little flaps on the top. And just the plastic, I feel like, is like a harder plastic. I feel like it grips the bobbins better. So keeps everything nice and tidy, and I have them in the sleeves in the same order that they appear on my spreadsheet, so it makes it a little bit easier to locate them as well, because it's like this is page 1, this is page 2, so that's helpful. And then I have all the rest of my floss in this bag here, yet to be used. This one needs a home as well. And then I used some 702 today, so let me mark that off of my spreadsheet. Which I don't have to do that because I actually have a cone for this, so I have like infinite amounts. Thank you so much. Not that Sherry. I was gonna call you Sherry, and then it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. Alright, so I know y'all just got here. I'm happy to hang out for a second and answer any questions you may have or anything like that. We'll go over to the Spirit City screen over here for a minute. But other than that, funnily enough, I was just about to end, so I'm happy to find somewhere else for y'all to hang out. I'm sure we can find somebody else working on something very cool. Gotta go anyway? Yeah, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you stopping in. Yes, thanks so much for hanging out, Nicole. I really appreciate you stopping in and hanging out with us. Okay, so here's somebody with a PNG tuber, that looks like they might be fun to check out. They're working on a moss stitch blanket. Yeah, absolutely, Anonymous, thank you. We'll be happy to have you back. Yeah, I'll be live again tomorrow, starting at noon Pacific time. And then on Sundays, I play Stardew exactly at the same time at noon. So that's all in my streaming schedule on my page. If you need specific time zone translations for yourself. And I also have a Discord if anybody wants to come hang out in the Discord. I also have the calendar in there, which is helpful. And then if you would like a more general view of the project, I do post... That's wrong. Sorry, 1 second. I do post a weekly update every week so that you can see a more zoomed out view of what the project is looking like. So I'm on a few different platforms, hopefully one that works for you. You're just avid Stardew player, so anything Stardew related is a favorite? Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've come to the right place then. Oh no, we were having a whole conversation about typos earlier. Don't even worry about it. Well, thank y'all again for hanging out, and hopefully I'll see y'all tomorrow. If you feel like hanging out and participating in the raid, you can pick out whatever you feel is your evilest emote, whatever is available to you, and then along with the phrase evil raid, and I will see y'all again tomorrow.